about 4 seconds difference visually for me on the screen than what I'm seeing over the remote control connection. So there's
Okay.
all right.
Here we go.
Going live.
Coming to you alive through the power of the interwebs. Inside the Green Room studio from the flagship source of the Earth Mix Garden Products Network, it's the At Home Show with Josh Cary and David Bates, bringing you all the wisdom and wit you'll ever need to tackle your garden and your projects. Now broadcasting alive from Bates Nursery and Garden Center at 3810 Whites Creek Pike, just 1 mile north of exit 19 off Briley Parkway, or 0.9 miles as the Josh drives. Here's Josh Cary and David Bates.
Oh yeah, everybody knows what that music means. It's now time to climb a tree, don your loincloth, and survey the backyard, because you got to find a project. You got to lay it in the unmarked grave of history, because there's football on this week, by the way. Yes, there is, ladies and gentlemen. If you've got a gardening project, if you've got a landscaping issue, if you have a problem around your house, give us a shout, 615-499-6690. I am Josh Cary, and David Bates is...
And I am David Bates.
Yeah, he's there, and he
off camera at the moment.
he is coming to us. He still got hung up at the home office there at Groom Lake, Nevada. He's having all kinds of personnel issues down there. I understand there were some infrastructure projects that needed to be taken care of that weren't being satisfied to your satisfaction. A little thing about that, that magnetron, and that was a whole. We don't want to talk about it though.
Well, the whole Hyperloop thing is really becoming confounding. Let's get into the weather here. Of course, today is Saturday, the 9th of January. My goodness, it's going by quickly. High of only 38 degrees today. It'll be cloudy in the morning and maybe some sun later in the afternoon. But a chilly day throughout, slightly warming tomorrow, but only slightly. 42 for the high, 26 for the low. As we go into Monday, we're going to have slightly warmer conditions, and we're going to have some chance for a pretty cold rain in the afternoon, maybe changing over to some brief snow showers. I'd be interested to hear how many of you guys actually got a bit of snow. I bet you did, Josh. And Tuesday, warming a bit more still as it is on Wednesday. The sunshine does return. And Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we start to cool back down again. And, of course, the forecast out beyond that really doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot, because its speculation currently is 33 degrees here in the Music City.
Actually, David didn't get a flake, I don't believe, at the proving grounds. So it was something to see. I mean, Everybody, they canceled schools in Lincoln County. They had all kinds of different
Really?
issues. Yeah, Joey Monteleone got snowed in up there in McMinnville or wherever it is he lives and stuff like that. But
It just spit snow for me. I didn't see anything.
mm-hmm.
Now, I want to take a minute to kind of explain what it is we've got a lot of new tools in the arsenal here at the At Home Show, and we're trying to figure out how to make all this stuff work best and work together. So we're taking this opportunity for me to do some remote connections. And last week, I think we proved some things were problematic.
Boy,
in
did
that
we.
The audio was, from my end, was almost unlistenable because there was this feedback loop going on. And
well, when Josh
hopefully
is in
we've
your
gotten
ear like
around-
that, it's going to happen.
Feedback loop.
Yep. So anyway, so this week, rather than being embedded on the screen, I am on the big screen behind Josh, looking over his shoulder.
Hey,
Stop it. Hey, what are you looking at on your computer anyway?
Wait a minute, man.
I see you down there. Yeah. So anyway, we're glad to have everybody on board this morning, and looks like it's going to be a very typical January day.
Well, if we're going to get our between now and the second week of February is normally the coldest and the wettest and the nastiest that we get, traditionally speaking. I mean, there are times during the third weekend in January, which used to be the annual backpacking trip for the kid, but you went 5 degrees or 75 degrees. It didn't matter.
Where'd you go backpacking at?
Out in the woods.
Well, yeah, but where?
Usually, we stayed inside the great state of
the
Tennessee.
house.
No.
Okay.
In the backyard. Yeah, that counts.
Well, we did find a holler down there between Manchester and Murfreesboro once in a while that worked out pretty well. Monique.
Holler.
Yeah. David remembers Monique from Murfreesboro, who used to call us occasionally.
Gosh, that's been that is going into the Wayback Machine right there.
Monique and her noodles would take off to the woods and do some things and walk the trails and highways and byways of Middle Tennessee. You ever been to Virgin Falls?
Nope.
I have.
You ever been to High Knoll, Virginia?
No. What kind of Virginia?
High Knoll, Virginia?
High Knoll? No. No.
It's probably better.
Probably. Well, do the banjos play in High Knoll, Virginia?
If you walk fast enough, you don't have to hear them.
I understand. All right, David. Now you're in. The climate there at Groom Lake is a little different than it is in Middle Tennessee. What are you experiencing there? I know as the wind is probably blowing across the salt flats as they were coming.
Little breezy. We're looking at temperatures that are only going to be in the 60s today, so it's comparatively warm to Middle Tennessee, but it's there's a little coolness in the air, not untypical for anywhere in the U.S. this time of year. So we're in the northern hemisphere. That's kind of the way it is.
Well, have you noticed?
Have a little cooler
I'm just so happy that the day length has gotten. I mean, have you noticed the perceptible difference than it was on December 21st yet?
Actually, yeah.
Here we are. Was we 2 weeks removed from that? And so we're starting to gain minutes per day now, which is, I think, healthy from a mental standpoint for everybody, because I think more of us than we realize or admit. The amount of day length has a perceptible effect on how you feel. It can affect mood and all that kind of thing. So longer day length is always a good thing, and that means that spring is getting ever closer. And so what do we do in the meantime? How do we fill that time between now and spring and feel like that we've got something worthwhile to do? A lot of people are, real gardeners never stop gardening. They might not go outside and dig, but they might.
Other things and
projects going on indoors, and that's kind of the gear we shift to here at Bates Nursery in the wintertime. This, by the way, I'll mention, we're doing something different than we have done in past years. We're going to be open for 4 hours from 10 until 2 on Saturdays. Of course, today is Saturday, so this is the initial day of that. So
So everybody should wait. Everybody should wait until about 1:35 to come in and try to do everything. That's the way it always used to work at the lumber yard. We were 7 to 12, and it was 11:15, and then the rush would start.
Well, those are things you have no control over, but
as long as they come, right?
For those who are wanting to get out and walk around, just be somewhere else, and get out of the four walls, come out to the nursery and walk around, and just get some fresh air and get a chance to maybe look at some tropicals or perennials. We have our whole inventory available. It's just inside right now. Mm-hmm. So if you're concerned about the cooler temperatures, it's a lot more moderate, even in the unheated Quonset huts where the plants are. So, and of course the tropicals are in a heated area. So I invite you to come out from 10 until 2 on Saturdays throughout January and February.
Yeah, and it's a great service, David. I mean, it's fun because the babies aren't going to go away. Now, I purchased a pitcher plant, and maybe got a little bit dry, and I'm nursing it back.
They're a little tricky to deal with. I will recommend this wholeheartedly. Caroline and Vanessa are our tropical twins, as I call them. And
TT.
Tyler Blankenship, they're in studio with you guys as our capable video production guy. And and Tyler has been behind the scenes working through all of our Bates Nursery Botanical Boot Camp video series that we put on every week. And Caroline and Vanessa have spoken pretty extensively about all manner of tropicals. Vanessa is really quite the aficionado at pitcher plants. She has a specimen one that she brought in on one of their tropical series, so it might be worth your while to take a little minute, go over to batesnursery.com and scroll down to the Bates Nursery Botanical Boot Camp section, and then scroll further down to the archives, and then you'll see that the Tropicals 101, I think that was their first segment. You might check that out and give you some great pointers. And her pitcher plants are outstanding. She's got some that look like the pitchers would hold a pint of liquid if you
like an iced tea pitcher, as it were.
Yeah, big. I mean, really big. So.
I haven't managed to make it expire yet, but it got a little crispy on the ends. I mean,
they're not unlike things like succulents, which you almost the only way you can screw those up is to not have enough light and to keep them too wet. A pitcher plant kind of likes this even moisture, but still bright light. So it's maybe a little more challenging to get them in just the right spot to keep them happy and to keep them growing and productive.
Well, I've got it. I put it underneath the skylight there in the office, and I think it'll probably get a little bit more light, but as much light as I can get it is what I'm hearing, and even moisture. Now, when they were actually nurtured at the nursery here, they were actually sitting in water, and I think that might have been I'm going to call it a marketing thing or a display thing, but it was actually sitting in water. That would be even water, wouldn't it, David? Do I need to come up with a different way to keep it going? Because I'm hitting it with water about every other day. I mean, I've got a moisture and it feels moist, but the old finger thing.
Occasionally, and I'm not suggesting that you would be subject to this, Josh, but occasionally.
Quit looking over my shoulder, by the way.
People. I'm just checking on you.
Okay.
Some people will misdiagnose a plant being. They will view it as being too dry when actually it's staying quite wet, and so sometimes the addition of water is actually making or exacerbating the problem. It's making it worse and compounding the issue. So I'm not suggesting that that's what you're doing.
Yeah, you are.
But they do need to dry a bit. They don't, you want a media that drains really well, and they need to dry a little bit. So you may actually be doing that. It's possible.
probably likely, actually.
I suggest you talk to Vanessa,
Okay.
and she is the knowledgeable one specifically with that one for sure. But and again, check out the little video series over at the Bates Nursery Botanical Boot Camp. And by the way, that's my newsletter that I put out every week. And thank you for all who subscribe to that. It has accrued more readership than I ever believed possible. But that being as it may, this week I kind of dealt with the educational spots and this notion that our plants are our silent companions, and so it's nice to have that quiet time. I think we all amidst the noise and the traffic and all that, it's nice to have a reprieve. So whether it's inside or out, you can get that through that relationship with your plants. And if you haven't seen my newsletter this week, it also is available over there at batesnursery.com. And in there is embedded a variety of links to a few of the topics that we cover and the things that I think that are pertinent for people to be thinking about as we go into through the winter and into the spring season.
Yep, sure is. And we will attempt to share those invitations and those notifications on the At Home Show with Josh, Cary, and David Bates Facebook page as we see them come up and the notifications, because they're going to be about once a week, it looks like, David, through the month of January at least. And it's at a nice time. You can take your break in the middle of the day and tune in and watch something go on. Because Tyler, how long are they going to average?
15 to 30 minutes at the shortest.
Okay. And then they're in
it. A little hard to hear Tyler there off mic, but yes, he's they are generally a half hour, and then we have a Q&A session afterwards. So our people who are doing the live broadcast can actually interact, ask questions, and depending on the host, whoever is hosting it that particular week, without regard to which of our horticultural experts are on air, they'll get you an answer in real time, and you can also submit those in advance.
And Tyler's looking very debonair in his scarf, by the way.
Yes,
I'm certain. I mean, Tyler's all about style. He really needs to. We may have to get a Tyler cam, just so that he can be more fully integrated into the program. We don't want him to be a loner off camera. So, note to Tyler. There you go.
Thanks. I like to balance, I like to walk a tightrope between function and style. So that's where I get.
It's not a look that everybody can pull off. I mean, and, we're not against that here on the At Home Show. Now, I didn't go with the scrunchies this morning because actually I woke up with hat hair, so I just had to get into the studio.
Did you put on a hat?
I did put on a hat, but I had I had a hat.
Yeah, I don't have Michael and I don't suffer from good or bad.
Now Sherry Forrest, Sherry Forrest was going to offer some. She had some blinged out scrunchies because the flow is getting to where it could. I could probably start doing the top knot man bun.
I dare you to come in here with the top knot, and you'll see how fast I come over there with some scissors and snip that off.
You would just.
Oh yeah, I would. I would do it in a minute.
Just as soon French kiss a rattlesnake.
Who says I haven't done that?
Huh?
Oh man,
that was one of the Major's favorite sayings, by the way. And David, 7 years ago today was when we lost the Major.
Wow.
Yep.
Gosh, it's just the speed at which time passes is
unbelievable,
dumbfounding, and it is absolutely incredible. But I know it continues to be a great loss for you.
Well,
and he was.
You and he would have gotten along quite well. I promise you that. So
I have no question about that. I had no military career, but you couldn't tell by the way I was raised. It was.
He was not the authoritarian in the house, by the way.
Well, no, you. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure your mom would make that point known pretty quickly.
Oh, my little fat
Who actually
ninja
was?
mom. She'd come up. She'd come up out of that slipper. I mean, it wasn't what you got hit with. It was well, whatever was closest is what you got hit with. 5 foot,
Hey.
5 foot tall and 3 foot wide, man. I'm telling
Hey,
you.
okay, I want to get Tyler back in on at least on the
Yes.
audio side for just a moment.
Hello.
Tyler is actually going to be the presenter this week. So this
Oh.
is Tyler. This is your first Base Nursery Botanical Boot Camp
Yes, it is.
premiere as an on-camera presenter, correct?
Yep. First time.
Okay, and you're going to be talking about winter garden prep. So have you done your prep for winter garden prep as yet?
Well, some of the prep has been of having a garden for a few years, and
There you go.
and working through the myriad of things that you have to keep up with in the winter. Pruning, digging up old growth. You might want to tend a compost pile. And so yes, and I'm also doing some legwork too to follow up that with some knowledge, because in the horticultural realm, I'm learning a lot here. I've come from the average gardener perspective.
Well, but that's a very important perspective, because I think it's important for us to remember that gardening can be successful. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a degree in horticultural things. I mean, I don't have a degree in that. I've gotten to work in it my entire life, so I have that level of experience, but I don't have a degreed level of experience. So it's good to be able to recognize that that people who are maybe on the newer end of the scale can have success, just like people who have been doing it for a lot of years. And conversely, the problems that you can have regardless of the years of experience you might have. So
Now, David, don't sell yourself short. You could write a thesis tomorrow and get your doctorate. It wouldn't be any problem at all. But Tyler, I'm with you. I mean, again, I have we've always had landscaping, and I've always have had a bit of use the chemicals on the grass, and kept it, listen to the at-home program actually, and do some things. But for all intents and purposes, this is the very first year that I've ever attempted a food garden, and there are several things that you learn, and you wonder, and you realize the value of farmers out there going along with it. But and when you have a limited amount of space that you can use, and I'm using an above ground garden concept, and when you have to really ration your space. You really have to.
Yes.
You have to notice that you can't plant things that need more moisture in the same box, maybe, that you do in the other box.
Yes.
Cherry tomatoes might not be the best choice for an above ground garden if you want to have more than one, because they tend to get really big really fast.
Well, you've got to be mindful of having enough. The good thing about having cherry tomatoes,
they're wonderful. I love them.
Is that they will continue to produce throughout the growing season. And now they do tend to kind of wane out as far as the plant starts to go down as you get into the hot part of August. But they will produce a lot of tomatoes, and it's really probably not a bad idea if you can get some later ones to replant again, so that you can have the next crop coming on behind it and be able to pull one plant out as the other one's coming along. So there's a thought there. But before we, the point I want to make is Tyler, your talk is coming up on January the 13th.
Correct.
So that's Wednesday of next week. Is that right?
That's correct. Yep. Wednesday next week at 12 p.m.
At 12 p.m. Central Time.
That's
so,
Central Time.
The good thing about it is you can go out to the basenursery.com website and click on the Base Nursery Botanical Boot Camp. And there you have the next installment, which is Tyler's coming up, Winter Garden Prep, as well as all of the other upcoming topics. And you have the schedule completely filled out all the way at least all the way through March. So You've got a lot of programs coming up out there, Tyler. And the great thing about it is, and what makes it easy, is you can register for any or all of these. and you'll have a reminder that is put into your calendar, and it'll let you know, hey, this is coming up here in a few minutes, so you don't have to miss being involved live if you like. And then you can have that opportunity to ask questions in real time.
Yep. 615-499-6690. That's another way you can ask questions in real time. You can comment on the At Home
right
Show with
now.
Josh, Cary,
We
and
actually
David
had
Bates Facebook page.
we had a text from Mallory, but you guys answered it when you were talking about like prepping for the spring just a second ago. Like,
What did we,
Tyler was talking about what he was going to talk about on his presentation.
well, okay.
New gardeners.
Just asking extra info about it.
Well, no, you literally answered the question they were going to ask, so I just, let it go.
That's what you call that's the anticipatory skills that Tyler has developed. So see, he's not the neophyte he might make himself out to be.
He's got that ESP quality, right?
Yeah.
I will go ahead and say that one of my sources of inspiration, and it was the first one that I found at a tea shop in Nashville, was The Backyard Homestead by Carleen Madigan. And
a book?
Mm-hmm.
A book, yeah. And that book is wonderful. It teaches you how to produce a lot on in a little space. My yard is a quarter acre, or my house footprint is a quarter acre, but my backyard is half of that, and so that's where my garden is. It teaches you how to plan things out.
So you've got a little bitty house then, right? You live in a tiny house.
Yeah, I mean it's 800 square feet. It's very small. It's got a detached garage, which I use right now. I'm using that to overwinter my lime bush and my orange tree with a grow light. So you end up making best use of your space when you have constraints like that.
Speaking of grow lights, David, after you gave my mom that advice on using that grow light on her lemon tree.
Yeah, her lemon tree, you're right.
She's
growing lemons, right. Sure.
She's got one lemon on that tree, and it's about as big around as a softball and finally starting to turn a little yellow.
Hey, and while you're talking about grow lights, Vanessa Lang will be doing a webinar on that on Friday, correct, Tyler? So that's
correct.
You can go over to basenursery.com and into the Base Nursery Botanical Boot Camp area and register for that right now if you want to hear more about grow lights and how to make the right selection. So anyway, we cover a wide range of topics, and if you're wanting to see that, just go over there and check that out. And matter of fact, quickly, if you would, Michael, switch back over to HDMI 1. And we'll just kind of run through that right quickly. And that way, and I see that I'm not actually, what's confusing is that I'm on a computer at my desk, and I have to remember which browser is which. Which one am I working from? So it's confusing me, which doesn't really take very much, but you can go over here to the Base Nursery Botanical Bootcamp link, and there you see there's Tyler's talk coming up on Wednesday, and then there's Vanessa's that's coming up on Friday, as well as the entire list of upcoming. All those things are out there at basenursery.com because we want to keep you engaged in the garden, whether you're actually getting outside and digging or not. Give you food for thought to make your planning successful, because we've said it here for years, Josh. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So we're all about trying to help you get a plan together at Bates Nursery Garden Center. Speaking of which, on February the 25th, our very own Ben Trest will be talking about landscape design, and that's really a part and parcel of all of your aspects of gardening is to get a plan together. Now, Josh, you talked about doing home gardening and the amount of things that are required to be mindful of, and so it's, there's a lot of information out here over at basenursery.com to help you get your garden underway and to keep you, relatively occupied and pacified and also prepared for spring when it rolls around. Of course, you also can go out and see all of the various things we have on our website. We still have all manner of trees, be it shade trees or conifers, Japanese maples, or fruit and nut trees, we pretty much have the same selection that we have during the springtime. We don't have as much because we have it inside, but if you're looking for some things, we're here to help you from 10 until 2 today. And whether it's for indoor tropicals or wherever you want to look at some landscape additions for your garden, we have it all here at batesnursery.com. And, we are a year-round professional nursery. We don't do anything else, and we are a proud seller of Earth Mix Garden products. And if you maybe are struggling with success in things you're planting, it may well have a lot to do with the quality of the soil that you're planting in, and that's why we recommend using Earth Mix Garden products in all your plantings, whether it's Proganics I on your indoor plants or Proganics O or landscape or any of the other great Earth Mix products for your outdoor uses. They're all 100% organic and sustainably produced right here in Nashville, Tennessee. So we invite you to come out and see us. We are open Monday through Friday from 9 until 4 o'clock, and we're open on Saturdays again from 8 until 8, from 10 until 2. I'll get it straight in a moment. So come see us from between.
Well, the guys would love to get that extra overtime. You'd work at 8. You'd work at 12, wouldn't you?
Well,
take off Tuesday, huh?
Yeah.
I'm already working an extended day technically.
Yes, he is. So,
that's double time on a holiday, right?
Come out and see us all here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center, beautifying Nashville since 1932. And I appreciate all of you giving me a moment to talk about that. So, and don't forget to pick up the phone, give us a call, 615-499-6690. You've got a question, go out to our Facebook page, The At Home Show with Josh, Cary, and David Bates to message us with the questions you might have. Please share us. We're out there, obviously through our Facebook page. You can also share us out at our YouTube page. And so connect with us
on LinkedIn.
And let us know what you want to hear out of us. And we don't just talk about landscaping. Josh is in building supplies, and materials. We don't talk about that enough. There's a lot of things to be concerned about around the home. Even during the winter.
Now, David, one of the things that we might want to talk about today, in addition to whatever it is the watchers and viewers and people are doing, David and I are both on LinkedIn. If you connect with us, you'll be able to see when we share and put up the show. If LinkedIn is your preferred social media, that's a great way to do it, and see us out there as well. I see that we have a Rhode Island viewer this morning, David Bates.
A Rhode Island.
I wonder
who that could be.
I don't know. 615-499-6690. That's the number to dial to join us. And if let's say Bill Hayes wanted to talk about the Green Bay Packers today, would be a good time to call in.
Well, they got the weekend off, so deservedly so. They're a pretty good football team.
They're okay.
We found that out.
That's okay. It's snowing and raining and all that other stuff that goes on. If the Yard Boy wanted to talk about Alabama, because he would talk trash about Alabama. There's football Monday night too.
Yeah, it's all day today, all day tomorrow, and Monday night. So yes, no shortage of football. I'm sure that the
very Titan fans,
the Buckeye faithful have probably got something to say about that. So we'll see if the Buckeyes can give the Crimson Tide a run for their money.
They don't. The Buckeyes shouldn't even be involved.
That's what Clemson thought.
Played 7 games this year, right?
They played 7. Correct? They played 7, inclling last week, I think.
Yeah, so they're undefeated, but they didn't play a pretty tough schedule and not as many games.
They're still pretty good.
It won't matter if they beat Alabama, so we'll see.
There's also an old story about a frog having wings, and he would fly instead of bumping his whatever on the ground. That might happen.
Well, I think it would be unwise for those in the Crimson Tide faithful to go ahead and mark that one down.
Yeah, don't be talking any smack. Don't be throwing it down. Don't be, if you're a Titan fan, It's going to be a long day tomorrow, boys and girls.
It's going to be a tough day tomorrow.
Yeah, I was
The
at-
Ravens tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Now, I was at that last game, David. You were there too, I believe. Didn't end well for us. We were 13-3 that year.
Yeah,
And we actually had a defense that year. I mean, that
was the most disappointing ending to a game I have ever been at in my life. I mean, I was at the Super Bowl, but that game was worse than the Super Bowl defeat.
Now hold on. Didn't they beat the Ravens last year though?
They beat the Ravens last year. They beat the Ravens this year.
So then what are you worried about?
It is it's one of those rivalry games.
Not a gimme.
No, it's not a gimme.
No, it's not a gimme, but I mean
they have an all-world quarterback, so do we. They have a defense.
We don't.
Well, they call them the defense, and they can bow up and do some other things. The thing is that I'm not sure that 17, 22, 11, 84, the rest of the crew are going to be able to score enough points to stay out ahead of them. Now, I think I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think we're going to be able to. Anybody who does bet, I would take the over on the game, no matter what it is. I mean,
David, I think Josh is trying a new tact here. If you notice earlier in the season, it was always the Titans are going to win. And they never won those games. So now he's like, I don't think they're going to win. It's going to be.
I think you're on to something, Michael.
Well, and
I think you are.
At the first 5 games of the season, we had Vic Beasley, we had Jadeveon Clowney, we had several other people that were on the field. We weren't really doing a whole lot of pass rushing, but the scores were pretty indicative of having a good or average NFL defense. And with the offensive side, and they're not offensive at all, I think they're wonderful, who was going to keep up with them? There's only one. And at the end of the day, I've said this since day one, everybody's playing for second place behind the red team. Everybody in the league.
Oh, Kansas City.
Yes,
I can't disagree with that.
Everybody's playing for second base.
Now, no matter what happens tomorrow, the Titans still have like the best moment of the entire season when Derrick Henry put Josh Allen down.
Well, that happened. He did not get an unanimous all-pro selection. 3 people, 3 voters out of 50.
There's always going to be somebody like that, and that's just simply because it's the same thing in baseball. They didn't give Ken Griffey Jr. a unanimous vote to the Hall of Fame, that kind of stuff.
Unbelievable. Mike Mussina is still not in.
You got to give up on this Baltimore stuff.
No, he was a Yankee, too.
Well, that's where he got into the Hall of Fame.
He isn't in the Hall of Fame. I don't believe he got elected.
Well, no, I mean, if it was, that's where it happened.
He won a whole lot more games down there on the Bay. Heck of a player. But folks, it's going to be I'll be among the few 14,000.
Is that game in Nashville tomorrow?
Yes, it is in Nashville.
They won the South.
In the playoff years,
AFC South, right?
Yeah, they won the AFC South, and
what was their final record?
11-5.
Wow, they broke the 9-7 curse.
Oh, but 8-8 for years. So, but 9-7 is
that was the last 4 years, right? 9-7.
9-7. But in the playoff history of the Baltimore Ravens franchise, formerly known as the Cleveland Browns, and the Houston Oilers, or Tennessee Titans, the visiting team has won every game.
Well, it's time to break that.
Huh?
That is not a good stat.
That is, okay. And I mean that's.
But did the Titans have someone like Henry or Tannehill or anyone like that?
They had a guy named Cary Collins.
Well,
He had 30. He has well over 30 to 35,800 something passing yards in his career. They had a little fellow named Albert Hainsworth on that team.
But was he as good as Derrick Henry?
Albert Hainsworth was a defensive player, my friend.
I see. I don't watch football.
He was an absolute beast.
Whenever Albert decided to play, he's as good as there ever has been. He just didn't want to play a whole lot.
Oh, well, and then he was playing for a contract that year, and he got it. He got paid.
Oh, he got after it that year. That's for sure.
But they were just a special kind of team. Now, again, Cary Collins is among my favorite Titans of all time. I mean, he was a player, and I mean he let them roll. But yeah, that one, David, that one hurt. That one hurt bad. And we had 68,000 of our closest personal friends in that day. It wasn't the crowd's fault that they lost that game.
No, there was a.
There's only going to be 14,000 there tomorrow. 14,000 and change tomorrow.
That's a large attendance for any football game this year. I mean, most games don't seem to have really anybody in attendance. I mean, I saw part of several games this past weekend, and most of those stadiums appeared to be completely empty, apart from, I mean, literally maybe 100 people.
Have they said what the protocols are going to be for the Super Bowl yet? Because I know for the World Series, that's the first time they allowed people in for some baseball games.
Well, the Super Bowl is scheduled for Tampa, Florida this year. And Tampa has limited seating. I think they're following the same rules as the
Gotcha. So there is going to be people, though.
Boy, and those tickets are going to be expensive. Oh, my goodness.
Did Brady get in?
Brady get in where?
The playoffs. Did Tampa Bay get in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Okay, but I know the Patriots didn't.
Oh, yeah.
No. Brady's in.
Okay. I like Tom Brady. Greatest quarterback of all time.
Second best.
No.
Oh, yeah.
No, he's the greatest.
Is he?
He is the GOAT.
He has most rings.
Josh.
Huh?
He is the GOAT.
Yeah, until he played.
He's the greatest of all time.
Titans broke that thing down last year.
He's still the best quarterback of all time.
I'm picking on you. Yes, I think so too. He's definitely in the top 5 for sure.
Who's better? Who's better?
Who was a better quarterback?
Who's better?
Brett Favre.
I like Brett Favre, but he's not better than Tom Brady.
Dan Marino.
You have to judge them off their accomplishments. I think Tom Brady's still better than Dan Marino.
Peyton Manning.
He's way better than Peyton Manning. I don't even want to hear it from Tennessee fans.
Joe Montana.
He's better than him too.
Oh, Terry Bradshaw.
He's better than Terry Bradshaw. He probably acts better than Terry Bradshaw too.
That's not hard to do. Now Terry.
That's not a real challenge.
Well, here's a good gardening
Norm Van
question
Brocklin?
for you. I don't know who that is.
Okay.
So
Johnny Unitas.
I know that, but I don't know anything about his stats.
Burt Jones.
No.
Huh? Really?
I know who he is, but I don't know anything about their career, so I can't say.
Oh, okay. He played for the Colts. Baltimore Colts.
On those Baltimore teams again, man. You can't know.
Well, the Colts play in Baltimore, not Indiana.
So,
as far as I'm concerned.
Where I have my above ground beds.
Above ground garden.
Yeah, my above ground garden beds. Last year was an experiment because I was trying to figure out what I could grow there. Turns out I get roughly 7 to 8 hours of sun in that spot, and that is the sunniest spot in my yard.
Mm-hmm.
So how can I get a better yield?
Cut down some trees.
Well, I'd have to cut down my neighbor's trees.
At least limb them up.
Okay.
And you got to do some things to get, or you may have to physically relocate where you're trying to do the garden.
Well, that's the only place that gets any sun at all. The rest of it's like super shady.
You just what would be some more shade tolerant type of plants? Now, again in the springtime, David, I would think that he would be able to get some early starts. I mean, I would try lettuce. I mean, again, I had tremendous success with the lettuces that I did this year.
If you've never had arugula,
radishes, huh?
If you've never had arugula is amazing.
You get a trunk on the thing. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah, I had one. It was awesome.
So the plants that did well, cucumbers did well for me. Tomatoes did well.
What else you need?
Well, I know, but my broccoli didn't do well at all.
Really?
Mm-mm. Onions didn't get very big, but I might have planted those too close together. So
I had great luck with radishes this year.
There is a concept known as thinning, selective thinning.
Okay.
And it does aid a lot in the development of things that are, because little plants, when you sow, and for future reference, Michael, a lot of things people sow in a seed flat before they plant them directly into the ground. And by doing so,
kits,
it gives you the opportunity to
are?
transplant them and thin them that way. Because if you put all those little seeds so close together, they grow all over each other and they really can't develop properly.
Gotcha.
They don't have the opportunity to get their roots into a sufficient amount of soil to be able to get the nutrition that they need. So,
Dave, what do you think about the seed tapes, David? Or you think that's
well, seed tapes, as long as you don't erase them.
Okay. Don't get them near a magnet, right?
Yeah, the seed tapes are actually, for people who don't know, it's just a dissolvable type of tape that has the seed spaced out on it, and so that achieves at the outset what you would do by thinning them, be either manually from the where you could put the seed down, or by transplanting them and that giving you the opportunity to give them proper spacing. So a seed tape is not a bad thing.
They're a little pricey though, in comparison to an envelope full of radish seeds. I mean, it was seven times the price. I never have
tried making my own seed tape. Mm-hmm. I guess you could do that if you could, research out. I would say probably using something like masking tape, just the old plain kind of cream colored masking tape that's maybe a 1/2 inch wide or as narrow as you can get. You just stick the seeds along and then make you a little trench and bury that tape down on the ground. And that kind of tape has like a paper back to it, so it would break down pretty quickly.
Tape up, I mean sticky side up is what you're saying.
I would think so, yeah. That way the seeds don't have a chance to fall off but it would probably takes a couple of people to really, you get them stuck down really well. I've never tried it, so it might be a fun project for somebody to take on a cold winter's day.
Now, I think your idea of the seed starts is the little pots and the little potlets and the little they little peat things that they sell that look like a compressed about as big around as a silver dollar. You know what a silver dollar is?
Yes, I know what it is. I'm not that old, Josh.
Tyler, do you know what a silver dollar is? Okay.
Yeah, I've got some. I've got some for my birthday.
Coins.
Before.
Okay. But they're about that big around, and you put your little seed in, or you put the water in first, and then you put your seeds down inside of them. And they give you one that works pretty good, doesn't it, Dave?
Yeah, it works pretty well.
Okay.
So, but I think going back to Mike's bigger problem is the lack of light. Uh-huh. That's tough to deal with. So, he's going to have to really do some studying and looking at where he can find an opportunity to get more light in there. He may need to take raised planter gardening to a new level, raise them.
Really? Have some towers.
Really above ground.
Build some towers.
Put some 6x6 posts in the ground that are 16 feet tall to get the garden way up.
Or you could offer to share with the neighbor and say, hey, if we limb up, let's go here. Because yours right beside your driveway, if I remember right.
Well, like you turn down the driveway and it's down the side, and the one place it gets a lot of sunshine. Now, you were talking about cutting down a tree. I've got a silver maple that I keep telling myself I'm going to cut down.
What does your wife say?
She doesn't particularly care.
Oh, okay.
I think she wants me to replace it with something else.
Silver maple is not a great loss from a horticultural standpoint. They're very fast growing. They do get to be quite large.
I have little saplings coming up all over my yard from its root system.
They're very bad about producing seedlings that come up everywhere. So that's a reason. Perhaps you can figure out a place to plant something else in another location that doesn't block your available sunlight. But if you took that out, how dramatically does that change the available light for you, Michael?
It would probably add another 2 hours.
That would be.
That well could be the difference maker right there.
Because the way the sun arcs through the sky in the very early morning,
that's straight.
You know what I mean?
Okay. Doing arc.
Early in the morning, it doesn't get a lot, but then right around 9 o'clock, it gets sunshine up until about, when the daylight's extended up until about 3:30, 4 o'clock, because then the shade from the tree in the house start to take over.
Okay, because those trees that are around the perimeter there, they're going to still get bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm probably going to run into that same issue because when I started the above-ground garden at the proving grounds, the wee shed was not in place. So the wee shed's going to take a little bit of the available light to a certain degree.
Yes, sir.
Michael, could I get you to go back to HDMI 3 for
Sure.
just or
Trace.
1, I mean,
Ocho.
for just a second?
Uno.
That's what I mean to say. And going to talk for just a moment about Earth Mix Garden Products. And Michael, this is the other part of the equation you might want to think about. You know, if you're going to have, if you can get beyond the lack of light dilemma, the next thing that you got to think about is how viable is your soil. And oftentimes people perceive a economical solution to be in terms of how many dollars the bag costs. And the lower the price, the better it is, or the cheaper it is. And my contention is that frequently is 180 degrees out of phase reasoning. That is to say that if you don't put good stuff in the ground, it's almost impossible to get a good yield out of it. And that's where Earth Mix Garden Products comes in and makes a difference. If you're dealing with folks anywhere around Middle Tennessee, independent garden centers, this is the brand that people need to be thinking about using. And say you've already got, like you, Mike, have already got a garden spot in place, and you just need to improve what's there. Earth Mix Supernatural. It's the premium organic compost produced right here in Nashville at the Earth Mix facilities. It has all the best stuff. And then the final steps of all of the things that go into it, humic acid and mycorrhiza fungi are blended into it. And what these microorganisms do is help make your soil living, give your plants the ability to use the natural nutrition that is already there in the soil. So whether you use Earth Mix Supernatural or any of the other great line of Earth Mix Garden products, you know you're going to get the very best results out of it without having to use chemical fertilizers or other additives. Matter of fact, when you put it out, you probably won't have to have any additional organic fertilizer at all for at least 4 to 6 weeks. So it's a naturally fertile, very living soil. So check it out all over Middle Tennessee. If you want to get a clue about where you can find Earth Mix, just go to earthmix.net, and there you can click on the Find Earth Mix tab. And when you go to that tab, there you'll see the map that'll show you the list of all the places around Middle Tennessee, Kentucky, also up in Indiana and Ohio, to find an independent garden center and an Earth Mix dealer near you. And remember this, success in gardening begins at the ground level when you use Earth Mix Garden Products. And I appreciate your attention at this moment. So you can switch me back over there, Michael, and
way ahead of you
on camera with you guys.
Well,
I knew you were.
Peppermint Patty's daddy said Aaron Rodgers.
He named his dog Peppermint Patty.
Oh, don't you talk about a man's dog now.
I'm not.
Come on now. He'll come after you.
Aaron Rodgers, come on. How many Super Bowls has he won?
1.
How many's Tom Brady won?
6.
Who has the best comeback ever
Titans.
in the Super Bowl game?
Oh, in the Super Bowl game?
I would believe that'd be Tom Brady versus Atlanta.
Eh.
What do you mean?
Well, there should be some interesting games over the weekend, and this new, I don't know whether this is going to be a forever kind of format, but they're having the double, triple headers for 2 days in a row, which is going to be like football overload. I guess this is a means to kind of keep the thing on schedule. Is that what that's all about, or what was the reasoning behind that? I think it's just the way
that it happened to roll out this year.
Are they doing that, or are certain teams playing in a bubble?
No.
Are they doing the bubble thing in football?
No bubbles. Huh?
Well, the reason I was asking, you can have one game, like let's just say Nissan Stadium, Titans play, and then the next game, just back to back to back. So I didn't.
Well, at least we didn't get the 12 o'clock kick on Saturday, which is like the worst spot for anybody to kick off in a wild card game.
Well, it's the shortest amount of rest between the last game. So, all in all, I think that the 1 o'clock or the noon kickoff time tomorrow keeps the Titans kind of in their groove. So, hopefully they're going to be able to show up and
we just keep reminding ourselves that I think it was 20 years ago today, 22 years ago. This within the last couple of days, the anniversary of the Music City Miracle.
No, that was 1999, so that would be 22 years, right? 22 years.
So, you saw that live too, didn't you, David Bates?
Yes, I did, man. That's talk about
play
it's
the
just so
whole
hard to believe
game.
It's been that long ago.
Huh? Yep. I was actually sitting on the bed watching that game because I had two little children that had fevers that morning, and I was told, "You're not gonna leave this house today."
And you did the right thing.
Gosh, who would have talked to you in any such way, Josh? That's an awful voice.
Who would have done that?
I don't know, but it wasn't one of the kids.
Oh, wasn't?
No,
so there's three females
well,
in your
bad.
house.
They weren't going to say that to you.
No, it was Lucy and Lila, the former Wonder Dogs.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Lucy she would talk to you.
They're saying that your Baltimore Orioles and my St. Louis Cardinals, their seasons will start on time, and they will do the whole 162 games this year.
So it'll be. We'll only lose 118 this year.
Cardinals might lose 100.
Okay.
So we'll be
Hey guys,
commiserate.
I'm going to shift gears here.
He's shifting gears. He's getting away from. Okay. All right.
Yeah, well, I
pushing
tried
the clutch.
To pitch it.
Yeah.
I tried to pitch this towards you, Josh. You know, what you do is the building material line of the program, and we have a guest coming up here in a few weeks. Going to talk about windows and replacement applications and all that kind of thing. Give us a little insight on that whole world and how the thought process that people should have about replacing windows. Of course, we get inundated on TV with all of the various ads about replacement windows, and just like every other product in life, there's all manner of differences in terms of quality and functionality.
Absolutely, David. Now, the one tip that I would give anyone right now is that it's the, what's today, the 9th of January? Mm-hmm. It's not the best time of year to do replacement window projects, in my humble and personal opinion, unless you absolutely have to.
Big cold hole in the wall for a little bit of time, and you trying to seal up.
The potential problems and problematic nature of ripping a hole in your house or partially ripping a hole in your house is you better have everything there. You better have everything correct. You better have expertise to know what you're doing. It's not necessarily a homeowner project, but it's not necessarily not a homeowner project. You just have to do your research. It's just like anything else. You don't want to go out there and just start spraying glyphosate on your garden because you say, "Oh, that's good to do something with." You need to do your research. You want to put a fertilizer on your garden. You don't want to put a non-selective herbicide on your garden. So having the right product for the replacement application, because anything can be a replacement window. I mean, a piece of wafer board is a replacement window as far as I'm concerned. If it's really causing you a problem, you just nail something over the top of it and it's not a window anymore. It just doesn't open. It's not real clear, but
it's not great, not
kind of a wall.
Well, I mean, you have an opportunity to do something else with. You could put an architectural feature, hang it on there. It'd be a whole lot easier to hang a wreath on it at Christmas time, but
Well, part of what you're talking about with regard to installing replacement windows in the wintertime, is that just some of that due to the actual environmental conditions that go with winter? It's wet, it's cold. Does that
it's just
in any way make the installation process?
Well, let's just say you had a catastrophic problem. Let's just for giggles, you're going to go out there and you're going to rip that old metal window out of your house, and then you have to get it out. You have to cut it out, and you've got the right size one right there to replace it with, and you're gonna get everything going, and you're up on that second story, and you take that new window up there, and you're walking it up, or you're pushing it through the hole from the inside, depending upon what it does, and somebody drops it. What happens then? Because you have to wreck it out before you get the old one out, and usually they don't come out real easily.
That's where that piece of wafer board comes in.
You got to have one of those as a spare anyway. But it's a whole lot easier to deal with that on a 75-degree day than it would be on a 34-degree night.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, are there
And I'm a
concerns
fatalist.
about-
I'm a fatalist on that kind of thing. Those things happen, but they don't happen very often. But the biggest tip that I'm going to give you this year is, if you are considering it, and this is whether you use an independent, if you use a big box store, if you're using a home improvement contractor, if you're using a siding company, anybody out there, window manufacturers are experiencing crazy long lead times. And that's part of it is because of COVID. Biggest majority of it is because of COVID, because it's a great big system that we have, and things come from different parts of the country. They have different rules in different places. They have supply chain problems going along. Right. So if you're gonna get it done, I would start doing your research next week. I mean, I would really seriously, and particularly if you're going to use one of the premium branded products, it might be something that you would really want to consider, because you're looking at a minimum, folks, you're probably looking at 4 weeks. And in some cases, you could be looking at 10 to 12 weeks, depending upon what your manufacturer is. I've heard one of the guys griping that he'd had something on order from a vendor that was going on about 180 days now.
6 months.
It is what it is, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Now, is there what I'm getting? Are there concerns with respect to, say, you get the window in there and everything goes well, but if there are there moisture and temperature concerns that inhibit the ability to seal the window properly at this time of year?
Well, David, again, if you buy something, and again, if you were going to have something and you needed to paint it on the outside, it's not the greatest time of the year to be painting anything on the exterior, because it's just too cold, regardless of the process that you're using. Even inside, you got to, depending on what you're using, you don't get the fumes, even though the new paints don't make you sick and they won't make you fall out in the floor. You want to be able to do it properly, let it cure. Caulking doesn't cure as quickly this time of year as it normally would. Even minimally expanding foams don't. It's just it's summertime. I mean, is usually the best time to do that. But David was talking about, we have invited an old friend and an at-homie, Phil Crawley from Anderson Windows, will be joining us during the month of February via the Zoom call. And
but not the entire month, right?
No, not just for an hour or so one Saturday morning. But
speaking of time, we're out, right?
It is again. So go out there, get your projects done this morning, okay? Because you got to you get a marathon football thing, and all day tomorrow you're going to be gone because you got to go to the football game and down there by the river. Tighten up, have fun. Everybody that's going to go to the game, don't do stupid. David Bates, you make sure that you get the magnetron adjusted and taken care of this week.
We're working on it. We'll see where we are with it by this time next week.
Okay, because we're gonna have to send them down the invisible tunnel down there and through the Stargate if you're not real careful. For everybody here at the Green Room Studios, thank you for joining us here for the At Home Show. We'll see you next Saturday morning right here from the Green Room Studios at Bates Nursery and